When on-track safety, you must know where your work begins and ends. This way, a set of safety boundaries, known as working limits, can be determined. Only one qualified employee in charge or lone worker can be in charge of the working limits. And in order to select the correct on-track safety procedure, you must know if you will be working on controlled or non-controlled track. On controlled track, movements are authorized by a trained dispatcher or control operator. This includes centralized traffic control territory, automatic block signal territory, radio control block system territory, yard limits, manual and remote control interlockings, designated industrial tracks, and controlled sidings. On non-controlled track, movements are permitted without authorization from a trained dispatcher or control operator. This includes non-controlled sidings, controlled sidings where Rule 105 applies, yard tracks, industry side tracks, automatic interlockings, and remote-controlled hump yards. Before fouling the track, on-track safety protection must be established using one of the following procedures: exclusive track occupancy, foul time, train coordination, inaccessible track, train approach warning, or flag protection. In the case of a lone worker, individual train detection replaces train approach warning or flag protection. Exclusive track occupancy is used to establish working limits on controlled track by written authority, which includes Rule 42, GTA Form Line 4, GTA Form Line 8, and RCBS clearance. Foul time must be requested from and repeated to the train dispatcher or control operator. Foul time establishes working limits between specific times within manual or remote control interlockings or controlled locations. Train coordination may be used to establish working limits on controlled track. The employee in charge or lone worker must arrange with the conductor or engineer to stop and yield their track authority until the working limits are released back to the train. The employee in charge or lone worker must communicate with the conductor to establish that the train is visible, that the train is stopped, the working limits, that no movement will be made unless authorized by the employee in charge or lone worker. Train coordination can also be used for cleaning switches on controlled or non-controlled track, providing that the train is at the switch and can warn the track worker of any approaching traffic by engine bell, whistle, or personal contact. An employee in charge or lone worker may establish working limits on non-controlled track if it is made physically inaccessible by a qualified flagman, spiking and locking each switch, setting and locking derails equipped with red flags, making the track discontinuous, or preventing access with a remotely controlled switch. Track work may be performed within a hump yard, providing the track is also made inaccessible. If remotely controlled switches are used to establish limits, the control operator must apply blocking devices on those switch controls. Track work may be done within the limits of an automatic interlocking if authority is obtained from the train dispatchers of both railroads, and the interlocking is protected against train movement by opening the knife switch in the control box or having a signal maintainer set the signal to stop and then place a red flag between the rails at each interlocking signal. Individual train detection enables a lone worker under certain conditions to acquire on-track safety, providing they can see approaching trains and leave the track before they arrive. Train approach warning provides on-track protection without establishing working limits. It is suitable for routine inspection, minor work, or for providing warning on adjacent tracks during large-scale maintenance work. An approaching train will usually request authority to pass through the working limits well before arriving at the work site. A train that has to stop will take much longer to proceed through the working limits, delaying both the train and the work schedule. Before authorizing trains through working limits, the final decision and responsibility for securing the work site rests with the employee in charge, who also handles the communication with approaching trains or track units and notifies everyone under his or her protection of the approaching train. The employee in charge must not authorize any movement through working limits until it is confirmed that the track affected is clear of workers and machines and all work has stopped, and all workers are aware of the approaching movement or train approach warning is provided. The employee in charge must also designate the track for the movement, request whistle and bell in situations where workers are on or near the track, and designate the appropriate track speed. Otherwise, the train will proceed at restricted speed, 15 miles per hour or less. Clarify with the train dispatcher what route the train is to use. Report any changes in routing to the train dispatcher. The employee in charge is also responsible for authorizing all movements of work trains and within working limits, making sure that during the movement, no worker fouls the track without authorization. Remember, working on the track is dangerous only when you don't follow the rules.